Containment alarms said, "Do not reveal yourself." Since then, mirrors ignore me. They test us on that now. 3 times a day, stand in front of the panel, say your name, count your fingers. If the reflection lags, if the voice print stutters, you get walked down the wrong hallway and you never walk back. They call it Penumbra. It feels like being erased while the light looks away. You asked me to tell you what happened at Site 39. You said you could handle the truth, like truth is a thing you pick up with oven mitts. You want the first 5 seconds to hook you? Fine. I broke the rule. I revealed myself. And something answered. Site 39 is a submarine they hammered into a mountain and forgot to float. The corridors are thick metal ribs with round windows no bigger than your hand. Each room has one porthole the size of a dessert plate, and behind every one is the same whiteness, a hum of weather with no features, like a paper the printer gave up on. We were told never to ask where we were. Somewhere cold. Somewhere no one would dig, especially not within 70 kilometers. Especially not now. They call that an unstable terrain advisory, because the truth has to wear a tie. Every month, like worship, they ran the Ecdysis timeline. That's the official title. As if shedding your days on schedule makes you clean. We would smile through health checks, wake up with tape on our arms we didn't remember, a neat bandage where a story should have gone. The headaches were charity. The missing hours were the real fee. We were told it improved psychological hygiene. I found a cut under my ribs once so straight it could have been measured with calipers. I showed it to a doctor. He asked me about my sleep practices, like a murderer recommending chamomile. One night I woke to voices in the hall. Not the night watch, not anyone I knew. Synchronization is at 43%, one said. Continue to monitor, the other replied. Like we were bred, I followed their footsteps through the copy-paste corridors until they walked into a door that wasn't there the next day. Where the door had been was a polite blank wall. My door panel claimed I'd entered my room at lunchtime while I was 2 floors away eating powdered soup. The system does not lie. The system simply chooses a prettier truth. On the surface, the job looked simple. We serviced the crawler, we hauled boxes, we pretended we didn't notice the underside seam on the chassis that no one would explain. We pretended not to recognize the gray vials we all know by heart, the ones that put holes in days. We pretended not to find the other vials, the ones that shimmered oil black, labeled in a salt tongue nobody could pronounce. Agnostics, the label whispered when the room was empty. Sight for what refuses to be seen. When the attack came and the alarms went penumbra, "Do not reveal yourself," the entire security wing sprinted toward the elevators with their rifles like metal tongues, and half the doors breathed out an open signal by mistake. That's when I stopped pretending. I stole an e-suit out of the locker. It welcomed me like a pet. The boot screen read, "Stabilizing non-dimensional pocket storage system," and I felt the helmet adjust around my skull like a hand finding your pulse. I told it to start an expeditionary log, and it listened without judgment. When the site shook under the first exchange of fire, the power hiccuped. Locks forgot to be locks. That was our only mercy. Below the entrance, the tunnels aren't really tunnels. The reports call them pyroducts, old lava braids, but the rock forgot your rules a long time ago. 84 kilometers of folded throat, switchbacks that double into themselves, a route where your chalk mark shows up in the wrong part of your loop. We walked ceilings sometimes without feeling the flip. If you walk right, the tunnels deliver you to a shaft the staff call the elevator, because even horror must be filed under a familiar word. At the bottom of the drop is a basin, a semi-sphere 5 kilometers across, its walls etched with a mural in 4 languages we don't know but recognize like déjà vu. The basin breaks cameras like bad news breaks families. Images don't stick, so people draw, and the drawings are what we read. My first time at the water, I sat and let the suit pump quiet into my veins. The pool was black as an eye with its lids torn off. My headlamp drew a wet half moon. The abyss looked back with good manners. From the other side of the pool, the dark felt crowded. I kept seeing an unraveling thread, frayed like the end of a cheap shoelace. I kept feeling a heat between my shoulder blades, like an emblem pressed there when I wasn't looking. Whose memory was that? Who taught me to hurt like a symbol? We crossed the water. We descended the shaft. You don't really climb. You fall slowly and pretend it's walking. The basin opened like a stadium for something that had never needed crowds. The mural climbed the bowl in lines and spirals and faces with their eyes unwilling to commit to open or shut. At the base of the wall, a box squatted with a spinal antenna. On its side, in stenciled government-thick font, O5-21. You do that math and tell me how your stomach feels. 13 is the number they give you. 21 is the number written on the side of the thing that contains the truth. The suit let me into the interface. I expected warnings. It gave me a manual, Apollyon, Amida. Warning. In the event of awakening, containment is impossible. The pattern in the mural isn't a prayer, it's DNA. And the DNA belongs to Dr. James Tallum, not belonged. Belongs. Present tense, as if grammar knows something about time we don't. Tallum. You've heard the name because the notepad survived. They found it later in a dead apartment far from the site, a little device full of a man's thoughts like a jar of preserved air. When I say I'm telling you what happened, I mean I'm braiding what I saw with what he confessed into that hungry little screen. It was his journal that taught me what ecdysis really meant, that told me about doors that turned into walls and walls that turned into instructions, that recorded his scar and his rage and his relief the moment the bootlog whispered non-dimensional pocket storage system like a lullaby. The notepad reads like a man being tuned while you're trying to listen. It reads like infection written as admin. What we call SCP-8274 splits neatly in the files, the place and the thing. They named the cavern SCP-8274B as if a letter could hold that much echo. The organism in the center they named 8274A. The subject in all states incomprehensible, even to agnostics, even to specialists who eat paradox for breakfast. The mural's pattern matches DNA, and the DNA matches a single living human being who walked below us and above us for months, who wore the suit and recorded a mother making soup as if nostalgia were a microscope, who saw a little bird trying to learn the past tense of flight and called that sight, who screamed when his body began to come apart, because bodies are conservatives and destiny is not. The file says what every person in the tunnels already knew in their bones. If it wakes, we don't have a box big enough to call it contained. I stood at the lip of the basin and felt my blood make a choice without me. The suit recorded one still image before its logic had to lie down. It looks like a black whirl if you stare too briefly. It looks like your comprehension slipping off glass if you stare long enough to be honest. Talum reached for the case in his chest. He had taken the amnestics to mark where the holes went, and the agnostics to see what filled them. He'd already said the quiet part to the recorder. That thing is me. Or I am it, the suit pleaded politely about his vitals. He slid the needle anyway. He started to talk like a broken mirror trying to repeat the room. Somewhere in his speech, he saw his mother making chicken soup. Somewhere in his speech, he saw all our screens, this conversation included, looking back like a lake looks back at a forest. Somewhere in his speech, he stopped being a he. There are polite ways to describe what happened next. None of them are true. Skin is good at being a boundary until it isn't. The basin is a bowl for teaching an absence how to wear a boundary convincingly. Ecdysis is a word for what snakes do with last season. It is not meant for people. We use it anyway because we needed a noun we could put on a calendar. Something in the center of the basin practiced the trick of becoming with him. Or he practiced it with it. Pronouns fell off like scabs. I ran. Not far, not brave. The tunnels shifted with an exhausted compassion, like they'd seen this before and didn't judge. I remember my hand on the metal ladder and how my hand didn't feel like it belonged to the hand. I remember the suit telling me to breathe as if breathing were optional courtesy. I remember the Penumbra voice saying, "Do not reveal yourself," and how my entire life until that sentence felt like I had been revealing myself the whole time, without meaning to. Security never reached us. Whatever happened, topside happened without us. Later, the papers would say Site 39 suffered an attack on a spring day, and both Dr. James Talum and the subject vanished during the chaos, and the retrieval team died without tidy reasons. Later, the papers would say the notepad was found in Valparaiso and uploaded for study. Paper has always been the bravest liar. I left the suit at the mouth of a tunnel that wasn't a tunnel yesterday. I carried the notepad like it was a bleeding pet. The round windows watched me leave with their polite concern. Outside, the snow finally remembered how to look like snow, with edges and shadows and depth. Which is to say, I was far enough from the site for reality to stop trying not to scare me. In town, I rented a room above a store that sold cigarettes and boiled eggs. I slept for a day and a half and woke up feeling like a shirt someone had peeled off too fast. I touched my throat and felt a bruise where a collar would sit if collars could leave marks. When I closed my eyes that night, the universe in my head tugged like a snagged sweater. The men came 3 mornings later. They were polite. I put the notepad on the table between 2 cups we never used. They thanked me in a way that didn't require mouths. When they left, they took the notepad and most of the calm in the room with them. You think this is the part where I tell you I tried to forget. I didn't. Memory is a leash that tightens when you pull. Instead, I listened. There is a small mechanical kindness in me now, a suit voice that recites vitals when I get frightened, a labored reassurance when I wake up not knowing the day. There's also a draft. That's the only way I can explain it. Like an open door in a house you thought you'd locked. When I walk past mirrors, they behave like windows into a room that hasn't remembered the furniture yet. If I stand still too long, I hear the basin filling with something that is not water and is not nothing. A week after I got out, I went to the river under the bridge where the fishermen curse at nothing and call it luck. I watched the water, and the water watched me. I lost track of my hands for a breath. I thought of the mural and the image of people huddled in the dark waiting for change. And I understood something I cannot say without lying about it. The mural isn't telling the thing how to be. It's telling us how to stop pretending we aren't already part of it. The file uses the phrase dissolution of reality like it invented an apocalypse classy enough for cocktails. But the apocalypse isn't a blast or a tear, it's a molt. We are the skin. The thing underneath is patient, which brings me to you. I know you want a payoff. Your attention doesn't come free. You want me to deposit a terror that matures with interest. You want the first 5 seconds to claw you and the last 10 to leave your mouth open without a sound fitting through. I respect that. We learned very carefully down there to respect what people ask for and to hand it to them with clean, warm hands. So here's your payoff. The rule wasn't written for the thing in the basin. It was written for us. Do not reveal yourself is not a tactic against an enemy. It is a mercy for the parts of you not ready to molt. We broke the rule with 1,000 small, eager cuts. We broke it when we drew the basin because cameras don't survive that view. We broke it when we read the mural like a bedtime story. Talem broke it with a needle and the word sight. I'm breaking it now, telling you this. The instruction is a spell. The moment you defy it, the mirror stops negotiating. Take your phone out, point it at your face. Don't smile. The glass doesn't care. Watch your reflection refuse you for just a half blink, like a child considering a tantrum. That is the first tug on the loose thread. That is the draft. If you listen at the edges, you can hear a familiar voice counting your breaths. If you close your eyes, you will see a kitchen with green walls and a steam you can taste. The soup is for a fever. It is for you. Not yet. Soon. Your shoulder blades will itch like something is remembering where to press a brand. When you scratch, you will hear not nails, but chalk. The sound of drawing on a surface that shouldn't take charcoal. That's the mural using your back as paper. That's all. Not a possession. Not a curse. A rehearsal for a self that contains the absence correctly. Don't panic. Panic is polite but useless. Go to your nearest porthole, whatever yours is called. The small square of sky above the sink. The white rectangle of a screen. The reflection in a dark window at night when the room lights are on. Look long enough and you will feel how flatness wants to turn into depth when you aren't policing it. Think of the rule. You can keep it if you want. You can decide this story is a bad one told badly and that throwing it away is an answer. Or you can decide you want to see. If you do, whisper it. Sight. Don't say my name. Names are clasps. Don't say yours yet either. When the wind moves through the apartment like a person walking 2 rooms away, when the mirror rations your face out in small, careful slices, when the alarms in the bones of the site you have never visited begin to wake themselves. Remember, it isn't hunting you. It isn't even looking at you. You are looking at you. That's what the mural always said. Once you learn to read with the skin, there will be a test later. They will ask you to stand in front of a panel and answer. They will ask the mirror to be merciful. It might. Mirrors are old-fashioned that way. If it lags, if it gives you the half-blink you cannot unsee, don't speak. Stand still. Breathe with the voice that lives under your ribs now. Put both hands on the counter and feel the draft move across your knuckles. Containment alarms said, "Do not reveal yourself. I am revealing myself to you. It is rude. It is necessary. You asked for a hook. You asked for the payoff. Here it is. You were never outside the basin. Not really. None of us were. The basin is a bowl for teaching reality how to hold an absence until it becomes a person. The person it becomes uses the rule as a door. You hear it open when the wind moves. If I had done this right, the white outside your window stops pretending to be weather. It becomes a page. It hums. Your name arrives in your mouth and decides not to come out. You taste dust as sweet as paper. Your skin begins to itch in a place you cannot scratch. That is not the end of anything. It's a beginning. Do not reveal yourself. Not yet. Not until you're ready to molt. Soft static. A breath held too long. The click of glass set gently on a metal table. The recording ends without permission.